that was such an amazing show. Kiss Unplugged. Whoever thought that was going to happen?
I know. It was a good way to exit the band. You know, I didn't know it would be like the final hurrah.
Yeah. See, that was my other. Well, if that's the final hurrah, it's pretty great. But that's what I wanted to ask. Mm-hmm. Did you know prior to the recording of this that the makeup was going to happen? Or
no.
As you're sitting there that night, and all 6 of you are out there, in your head, were you thinking at all like, you know what, I might be losing. I might lose my job here.
The fact that Ace and Peter were a part of the event and the reaction in the audience, which was really only like 400 people, was huge. But I expected that, you know.
I mean, of course, right. You know, you bring out anytime you see the original members of anything get together, people love to see that. And
you know, the truth is that was part of the agreement for MTV to do Kiss Unplugged.
So they didn't want any part of a Kiss Unplugged with...
Well, they knew that we were terrific, but they wanted... Everybody's looking for a scoop and angle, something that's going to really give you the ratings, and the product that they would be able to put out too, you know. So that was part of that agreement. And now, of course, you know, Eric Singer and myself weren't aware of that. And if you think about it, really, Unplugged and the conventions was the catalyst for the reunion tour, you know, and it all makes sense when you look back at it. While it was all going through and happening, I wasn't aware of it. I'm glad I didn't really know that, like, you know, the politics behind and all the behind the scenes.
So Gene and Paul probably had a master plan.
Well, I know that they didn't know exactly how it would play out, but if all things went well, then they could do a reunion tour. Yeah. You know, if everybody, you know, played along and they were able to work
because
it out.
At that point they don't know, you know, Peter hasn't played in a long time. Right. What shape is Ace possibly in? You know,
and you know, in the end, of course, they were able to all pull it together because the desire was there. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, we even started up a new record, Carnival of Souls, which was, you know, as much as it was a meaner, darker, crazier revenge album, you know, than Revenge. You know, they had a contract to record more, and that was the material that everybody was working on. So, you know, the announcement and everything happened actually 3/4 through, really, Carnival of Souls. It was kind of a strange, you know, kind of like, you know, timeline of things, but it played out the way it was supposed to, obviously.
What's the do you have a sit down? Is it like in The Godfather, they call you in for a dinner?
It was easy. Let's have a meeting over at Gene's guest house where we did a lot of work before. So
do you know when you get the call for the meeting? Do you and Eric Singer say, do you guys talk and go?
We don't know what it was about.
You didn't know what it was about.
We didn't really know. I'm glad they kept it quiet because we were being creative working on a record, and it was smart for them that way because if for some reason everything went balls up with Peter and Ace and something, you know, just fell apart, well, they still have Kiss, you know, which was that very talented, attractive-looking Kiss that you saw on MTV, you know. So you get what I'm saying, you know. Right. That was a smart way to do that. Right.
And so even if they would have got back to with Ace and Peter, and it would have only worked out for 6 months, then they could always go.
And they did pay us for a year anyway, you know, because
that's pretty sweet.
I think they did want to keep it the way it should be, just in case. And then, of course, you know, it took off really wildly, and as we know, and they stayed in makeup, which is understandable. Mm-hmm. But it was an awkward time. But it's interesting to see how the convention tour led into the MTV Unplugged, and the fact that all right, now we've recorded it in the studio. It didn't come out yet, the record, but then it comes out around October. By then, we're getting ready to do Carnival of Souls, but in motion is still the plan to go do a reunion tour. Yeah. But that all has to be worked out. I'm doing the little quote signs with my fingers, everybody.